Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ainayya Salsabil Maulidita, and I'm from Advanced Speaking Class A1. So today in this video, I would like to present a presentation. So this presentation is about the article that I have read. So the title of the article is Teaching Writing of Narrative Text Through Digital Comic by Fenty Susilawati. So the first slide is about the background of the article. So the first one is it has been reported that writing is one of the crucial ways to deliver information. Department of Education explains that writing skill is very crucial in all stages of life, from early education to future employment. The department adds that in school, students must convey complex ideas and information clearly, and proficient writing skills help students convey ideas, deliver instructions, analyze information, and motivate others. And the second one is writing narrative text is also not easy for the student. Hence, the English teachers need to find an alternative way to help the students improving their study skill. One way to help students problem in writing narrative text is by using digital comic, because digital comic can spur students' interest to write. And the last is Comic Life Creator 2016, page 2, says that digital comic is beneficial to learn in the classroom and not just a fun art enrichment activity. The creator explains that comics can make the students experience success in their writing. Students transfer specific elements directly into text-only writing. For example, students learn that whatever text found in a word balloon is put inside quotes in their text-only writing. By using digital comic, students have a new publishing medium, and also the documents of digital comic can be printed, emailed, or posted on a website very easily. And this is the research objectives of this research. But before that, I want to tell you the aim of this research first. So the aim of this research is to investigate the use of digital comic in helping senior high school students to write narrative text and to find out the students' perception on the use of digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text. So there are two research objectives here. Specifically, the study tried to find out. The first one is the effectiveness of using digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text for the senior high school students. And the second one is the advantages and the disadvantages of using digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text from students' perception. And the next slide is about theoretical framework. So there are two theoretical frameworks here. The first is Nisa and Al-Hafiz, 2014, page 72. Comics can motivate the students in learning English, capture and maintain the learner's interest. In addition, digital comics are easy to use and their applications may help low cheaper learners in writing as it can motivate learners to write in English. And the second one is Maldino et al. Aside in Purnama, Mulyoto, and Ardianto, 2015, page 20, digital media has some characteristics. First, it is easy to use because of its digital projector. Second, it is portable. It can be carried anywhere. Third, the ability to save of this media. Digital visual can be stored on a CD or DVD. And the last is the endurance of the media. The digital media can be saved in a long time. Okay, move to the next slide. So this slide is about the research method. So there is the design of this research. So this research employed a quantitative research by using a true experimental design. And then there are two instruments of this research. So the first is pre-test, and post-test writing test. This research conducted in 4 meetings. In the first meeting, the researcher conducted a pre-test. In the second and in the third meeting, the researcher gave the treatment to the participant. And in the last meeting, the researcher conducted a post-test, but before the researcher did the research, she administered the pilot test first. And the second one is questionnaires. Questionnaire was the second instrument, which consists of 10 questions. A closed-ended question is a question that contains a set of answers that a respondent chooses. And next is research method. So there are 4 stages in the method used in the study. So the first is the test, which was used to collect student score in this research, was written test. So in the test, the students were required to write a narrative text based on a presented topic. And the second is the questionnaire was given to the group who got the treatment. So this instrument was used to analyze the advantages and the disadvantages of using digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text from the students' perception. And the third is the questionnaires administered in the experimental group after the post-test. The questions were about the students' response to the use of digital comic as media in teaching writing of narrative text. And the last is the effect size was calculated to find out the effectiveness of digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text. So the next slide is about the results and findings. So the first is the teaching media by using digital comic had a large strength effect in improving students' writing skill. So from the result of effect size calculation, it can be concluded that the teaching media by using digital comic have a large strength effect in improving students' writing skill. And the second one is the overall result of the questionnaire has shown that the advantages and the disadvantages of the digital comic implementation in teaching writing narrative text. So there are some advantages of the digital comic implementation in teaching writing of narrative text. First, digital comic can increase their interest in learning writing of narrative text. Second, digital comic can make the material of narrative text easy to understand. Third, digital comic can motivate them to learn narrative text. Fourth, digital comic can improve their creative thinking ability in writing narrative text. Fifth, digital comic can gain their attention in learning writing narrative text. Sixth, digital comic can make them more enthusiastic about learning writing narrative text. Seventh, digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text is appropriate to use in their age, from 15 until 17 years old. And then there are some disadvantages of the digital comic implementation in teaching writing of narrative text. So the first is digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text can make them lazy to read the text without pictures. And the second is the use of digital comic is not better than the other media, for example, video, audio, or etc., for teaching writing of narrative text. And the last is the use of digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text makes them speak inappropriately. Thus, this research has found 7 advantages and 3 disadvantages of the digital comic implementation in teaching writing of narrative text. These findings were in line with what have been said by the other researchers and expertise. And this is the last of the slide. So this is about the conclusion. So the first is the effectiveness of using digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text. So the digital comic has been proven as an effective media to improve students' writing ability in writing narrative text. This result was supported statistically by the computation of independent t-tests using EBM, SPSS statistics V24. Moreover, the experimental group scores in post-test shown that their understanding of narrative text improved, especially in the content of the text. And the second is the advantages and the disadvantages of using digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text. So the questionnaire analysis showed that the use of digital comic in teaching writing of narrative text has the big advantages than the disadvantages. The result of the questionnaire presented that all of the students agreed that the teaching writing of narrative text through digital comic can increase their interest, make the material easy to understand, motivate them to learn, improve their creative thinking ability, gain their attention, and make them more enthusiastic about learning. In addition, almost all of the students agreed that the use of digital comic is appropriate for their age. So I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for attention. Have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.